Hello again, everyone, and welcome to a Shortstop with a Shortstop. Just to let you know, this has been basically 2 years now that we've been doing this, and I again want to thank everybody for watching, for your comments. It's been a great 2 years, and hopefully we can do 2 more. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about a changeup. I faced some guys in the big leagues that had some great changeups. Mario Soto with Cincinnati Reds and Andy Messersmith, who pitched with the Dodgers and the Atlanta Braves, but they threw what they would call a circle change. And a circle change, the grip on it, if you can look and see, there's a circle right here. And they called that a circle change. And the other 3 fingers just laid over there. And it was kind of, you were choking the ball. And when you do that, they literally tried to take 10 to 12 miles an hour off of their fastball. And it was called a changeup. It changed speeds. But they threw it exactly the same way that they threw a fastball. And it was a devastating pitch. It's one of the best pitches in the game. And Greg Maddux with the Atlanta Braves probably had the best one that there ever was, because he had a lot of movement on his ball and he was able to make it do different things. Your fastball is thrown with 2 fingers. Your 2-seam fastball is on these 2 seams here, and your 4-seam fastball is there. And they would try to throw those as hard as they could. Most of the guys now in the big leagues are throwing mid-90s all the way up to 100, and that's pretty fast. But they would try to take 10 to 12 miles an hour off of that fastball to change the timing of the hitter, to change the location. And if they could change the timing and the location, they could change their balance and their timing on the pitch. And it was a devastating pitch. But if we look in action, there was a man there that had to change up. And he was the Philippian jailer. He was in charge of all the men that were there in the jail. And in Acts chapter 16, verses 18 through 19, we have a slave owner of a little girl that was demon-possessed. And Paul and Silas cast that demon out of her. And this slave owner didn't like that, because he was making money from her by doing different things out in the public, and people were watching and paying money to see it happen. But when Paul cast that demon out of her, he was no longer to be able to do that. And so on false accusations, Paul and Silas were arrested and thrown in jail. And they were actually beaten and they were bleeding, but Paul and Silas changed up. What do I mean by that? Even though they had their feet in stocks, they had been beaten, they were bleeding, they were singing songs, and they were praying to God. They didn't change down, they changed up. And eventually there was an earthquake that came, and it shook the prison. And this jailer basically was ready to kill himself because he thought all the prisoners were going to escape. But Paul calmed him down, assuring him that all the prisoners were still there. And so Paul threw a change up. He didn't throw a change down, he threw a change up. He calmed the jailer down and was able to talk to him. The jailer actually, in Acts chapter 16, verses 29 and 30, he asked what he needed to do to be saved. And then in Acts chapter 16, verse 32, it says that Paul spoke the word to him. He basically had a Bible study with him. And the same hour of the night. Now, I'm not talking about 2 weeks later or a week later, but the same hour of the night, Paul and Silas took this jailer and his household, and they baptized them and added them to the church and put them in a saved condition. Now that is what I call a change up. But the jailer was interested in his own soul, but he was also a spiritual husband, a spiritual father. He wanted his family to know what they needed to do to be saved also. So they listened to Paul and Silas, and they had that Bible study. And sometimes the devil is going to throw us a changeup. And we've always got to be ready to hit it. The timing is going to be sometimes a little bit off, but we got to stay at the plate and take our swings and hit that changeup to the best of our ability. And that's what Paul and Silas did. That's what the jailer did. That's what his family did. And if we look in the Bible, each and every time that there's a conversion in the book of Acts, there was never, ever a 24-hour period that went by before the people that had believed and confessed and repented were baptized. And I just want everybody out there to know that there's a change up, and that's obeying the gospel plan of salvation. Never be afraid to change up. We can always get that circle change in our hand and be able to change the way that God wants us to change. Thank you again for being with a Shortstop with a Shortstop.